What's up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of Whiskey and Weights, where I review a whiskey and talk to you about different fitness concepts. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the concept of bracing. All right, so first let's start with the whiskey that I'm drinking tonight. I'm actually drinking a Scotch whiskey tonight. This whiskey is called Cardew. It is a Cardew edition for Game of Thrones. This is the House Targaryen one. Big fan of Game of Thrones, so right now I'm trying to collect all of those. I've got the Night's Watch, Greyjoy, what else? And just House Targaryens. I've only got 3 of them, so... but so far they come in cool little bottles, or come cool little cases. I do like this. It tastes pretty good. I would say it's like a perfect mix of the right peatiness, but still really smooth, and it's subtle. So my wife hates the smell of Scotch and whiskey. She just came down here not too long ago and said that it really doesn't smell all that bad, but it's still got that strong peatiness to it. That's what I really like in my Scotch. So all right, so let's talk bracing. First off, what I want to talk about when it comes to bracing is, first thing we need to do is we need to understand the body's core. Okay, so a lot of times when people think core, they just think abs, and that's not the case. There are many things that make up the body's core, right? So the core is made up of several different muscles, inner and outer muscles, right? So the inner are going to be responsible for movement, control, and stabilization of the lumbar vertebrae. If you don't know where the lumbar vertebrae is, that's the lower portion of your back. The outer are responsible for stabilizing the trunk and movement through the spine. Okay, so that's what the outer muscles are responsible for, and the inner muscles are responsible for. So we're going to talk about the inner muscles of the core. As you'll see a picture here on the screen, so you can see these muscles as I talk about them. So first thing that we're going to see is the transverse abdominis. That is the deepest of the abdominal muscles. All right. The next one is going to be your multifidus, which helps in extending and bending sideways. That runs along your back there. The pelvic floor muscles, they help stabilize your lumbar spine. And believe it or not, if you didn't know this, it helps you with bladder control. So if you have issues going to the bathroom all the time, working those pelvic floor muscles can help you with that. Internal obliques, they're responsible for moving the trunk in all directions, and they protect the abdominal walls. And then of course you got the diaphragm. Now, this is primarily for breathing, but proper breathing helps with proper bracing, right? So that is very important. Now these are all inner muscles. We're going to go over to the outer muscles here. Same picture here, but you'll see the rectus abdominis. Now, I like to refer the outer muscles as the show muscles. All right. The rectus abdominis is also commonly referred to as what people say is the six-pack, where you get your six-pack. So the next one is going to be your external obliques. That's going to be on the sides of your body. So the internal obliques are just right underneath them. Inside, you don't see those, but the external obliques are over top those on the side of your body. Then you have your erector spinae. So your erector spinae, here's the cool thing about that. It actually runs from your head all the way down your back. A weak erector spinae can cause lower back pain. Take a minute here, look at that, know where all those are. All right, so let's talk about, so how do we brace, right? So first off, bracing is a gentle, subtle draw in of your abdominal muscles. You should be able to breathe normally when you're doing this. Think about tightening your pelvic floor muscles, right? So you really kind of want to bring that rib cage up, and then you just kind of want to tighten your muscles down here. You'll feel it tighten down there somewhat in the pelvic area, in the pubic area as well. I like to say they're kind of like Kegels for your stomach. If you don't know what those are, look those up, right? So that's a good way, to know if you're bracing right, is you don't want to suck in like extreme suck in. That's called a stomach vacuum. You don't want to do that. You just want to keep it nice and tight. And then as you can see, I'm talking and I'm breathing normally just fine. But as right now, I'm bracing. So when should we brace? Like that's another really important thing. You can brace all the time. If you're just walking around, you just want to walk around and brace, that's perfectly fine. But the most important times to brace is when you're lifting, especially when you're lifting heavy or doing complex movements, right? So bench press, deadlift, squats. But I try to brace through all my movements because what that does is help me create a well-stabilized trunk. So with a well-stabilized trunk, it's going to reduce the risk of me throwing muscles into it that don't need to be thrown into it, right? So we should brace anytime we're lifting. That's probably the best way to do it. Now, what are the benefits of bracing, right? So I was trying to say this last one, but the benefits of bracing are it's going to reduce the risk of injury, right? You want to reduce the risk of injury. I don't think there's anybody out there that's trying to get fit that wants to lift as heavy as possible and is like, oh, I don't care if I get injured. No, you still care if you get injured. So by bracing, you're going to reduce the risk of injury because when you tighten those core muscles, right, your erector spinae, everything is to stabilize the spine. It's to keep you from throwing anything out, pulling a muscle. It's going to help with everything, right? So it's going to increase your stabilization of the spine and the core muscles. It's going to increase your core strength. It's going to increase your balance, believe it or not. It's going to even help you by getting a flatter stomach. Sorry, so think about that. I'm not saying this is your one-way ticket to six-pack abs, but by keeping a gentle contraction of your abs the entire time you're lifting, or your inner core muscles while you're lifting, is automatically going to result in you having a flatter stomach over time as you do this, right? So, and there's many people out there, they'll tell you the same thing. What is the best core workout for you to do? It's to brace during your lifts. That's the best core workout for you to do. So, what are some bracing exercises? Not really ways to practice bracing, but more like exercises where you can't help but brace are the side planks and then forward planks. If you're planking correctly, you're supposed to be creating a straight line from your legs all the way to your head, right? Really from your butt to your head, because your legs are going to be a little down. And you're supposed to draw in your stomach a little bit and keep tension on it while you're planking. So if you're planking correctly, you are bracing. You are working that transverse abdominis. You are working that erector spinae. You are working those internal obliques. You are working that multifidus, right? But there's other things that you can do. So I didn't know about bracing for a long time. So when I did find out about bracing, to help myself learn how to do it properly, I would just kind of do it throughout the day while I was sitting at my desk, or even just standing around. And then I got to the point where I'd walk around and then just randomly brace and just make sure that I knew what I was doing and got a good feeling for what it was. So you can do it while you're sitting at your desk. Another thing some people do is they'll lay on the floor, try to keep their lower back flat to the ground. You don't want to get rid of the natural curve to it, but you want to keep it as flat as you can to the ground, and then just kind of barely suck in a little bit while you tighten those pelvic floor muscles, while you tighten in those inner core muscles and tightening that erector spinae. You'll feel it. You'll feel it as you're doing it, right? And just hold that for 5 to 10 seconds, whether you're sitting down, standing, or laying on the floor. Hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. That way you get a good feeling for what it should feel like. And as you do that, it's going to start helping with you getting that flatter stomach as well. So that's everything I have for bracing right now. Now, of course, there are exercises that we could go over that talk about how to strengthen those inner core muscles and how to strengthen those outer core muscles as well. But that is for another video, and we'll talk about that next time. Hope you enjoyed. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.